When you're ready.
Hey everybody, it's the Brightside with Mikey and Rachel. I'm Rachel.
I'm Mikey.
And today we've got a couple special guests with us. We have Laura Keat and David Lee. Hi, you guys.
Say hi.
Hello.
Hey guys, hello.
How's it going?
I love it. I love it already. I didn't mean to. And already I'm already thinking things because I'm
What
like,
are you thinking? Your face
Laura,
is scary.
your voice went into like. Hi everybody. Hi, how's it going? Like
Well,
in the
that's
like,
nice to hear.
like
It sounds that way.
the calm mom voice came out like real fast, and now Rhodey is like, "What's happening?"
Yeah.
Hey guys.
I guess he would
what's
be.
going on?
He technically is our
Do you
fifth
have
guest.
something to say? Oh, face licking.
Oh man.
Ear licking. Ear licking.
Yes.
I mean, feel free to Rhodey, calm down a little bit.
Off to a bad start.
I know exactly.
Tongue in the ear.
You already knew.
Tongue in the ear.
So we're here at Lindy Focus, and if you've been listening, you know we're trying to be ambitious and trying to do a bunch of different shows to put it in the can, as it were.
Yeah.
And
So it's day 2.
Mm-hmm.
Last night was Count Basie night. Were you guys at the dance? What did you think?
Oh my god, it was amazing. The band was so good.
yeah.
Yes, it was amazing. So many people out. It's like Balboa Focus.
You know what's really funny? Last night at the main dance, what I noticed, and the first thing I did is that they took away that big piece, that like 2 almost rows of dance floor, because they know everyone's gonna be standing in front.
Yeah. Did you also notice
But yet-
though that those like side speaker stage things were gone too?
Oh, for
so
the
there
first
was
time
more.
ever. So there was no
Yeah,
like
so there was
nowhere
more
to put
stand room.
anything.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so funny. But at the same time, it's so funny because like the people were still like trying to stand on the dance floor and sort of on the carpet. So there was like a circle of people and then nothingness between them and the stage.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, what is going on here? Did someone say anything? I missed the beginning of the night. Did Bobby say something to like, hey, don't come close to the stage?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna push everybody.
I wasn't
to the
there until
stage
like
tomorrow
10.
night then, or tonight then.
Yeah,
But-
I don't know. I was wondering the same thing. I was looking at that. I'm like, why don't we get closer and
Yeah.
leave the dance floor for the dancers?
Laura, you said something so funny to me last night. You were like, we danced the second to last song, and Laura turns to me like in this kind of like little way that she does. She goes, "What song do you think they're gonna play next?" And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's and I seriously took it like as a real question. I was like, oh, I don't know. Like it's gonna be the last song they just said. So it's like Woodside. It's gotta be Woodside. It's Count Basie night. It's gotta be Woodside. It's like you already knew the answer.
Technically, we were dancing the last song, and I
Yeah.
knew that.
Oh, you're right.
And Mikey tried to tell me, he's like, no, they're out of time. This is going to be the last song. And I was like, there's no way. They haven't played Woodside yet.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to do an encore.
Yeah. See, I just remember the weird parts, and you were like, you remember exactly how it went. I mean, that's like.
Doesn't usually happen this way.
Yeah, it's true.
Usually Mikey remembers correctly and I make up stories.
Yeah. That's good too. What was your favorite part? I saw you jamming out a ton last night.
Yeah. You know, I like the confined spaces here, like having, like everyone dances differently when they have less space. And,
Oh yeah.
And it's an interesting challenge it really brings out a lot more rhythmic play in the dancers.
Definitely that main dance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you only have like a half a square to play with.
Yeah.
When you're dancing. This is really intense. I like dancing closer to the edge of the dance floor, not in the middle, because at least I have a part where I can be okay with and like fall off if I need a little extra space.
If I need to fall off into a dark abyss, that is more. That's more comforting to me than just being on more dance floor. You know what I mean?
And most of the time, that dark abyss just happens to be Gary Chi. Where I'm just like, whoop, rock step. Oh, it's just Gary. He hardly felt it.
Just scary. Sorry, Gare Bear.
But he's injured this week, which is so sad.
Aw.
I
He's got his
know.
arm in a sling. He's broke his collarbone.
Yeah.
you ever break
You should
something?
see the other guy though.
Yeah, no, seriously. Right? Didn't you break something once? I mean, like that was part of your teacher intro last night that you followed
No.
off a horse 75 times.
Yeah, and I've never been seriously injured.
Oh my god.
At least not from horseback riding.
Yeah.
Did you actually keep count? Like you know for sure that you fell off 75 times?
I know for sure that I've fallen off more than 75 times, but I have no clue. I mean, I just figure per year. Like, I rode from when I was 11 to 24-ish. And as a kid, we did stupid stuff and, like, would jump off our horses and try to change horses without stopping. And there was lots of falls.
Like the cowboy stuff. I mean,
yeah, and then for a number of years, I rode really difficult, crazy horses. And so there were falls. So over the years, my mom and I kind of were like, I think it's safe to say it was easily over 75. I think it was over 100.
Jeez.
But...
David, what I mean, like, yeah, that's so. I mean,
So how many falls have you had, David, off of horses?
You know, I did do horseback riding as a kid. Yeah,
Really?
a little
Wow.
bit. So I fell off a few times. So.
I had no idea.
I had to do the one where there's the special saddle with a strap so you could stand up on it. And yeah.
Like
Do
vaulting.
you ever do that?
No.
Where you're standing
That's
up
crazy.
and you
I mean,
hold
yes,
like a
I've done
strap
that,
on-
but that's like actual vaulting. I mean, I've stood up just
Yeah.
being silly, but we didn't do that style of riding.
Yeah, so we did that.
so is that the common thing of all Balboa dancers? They have to have fallen off horses. So there's a mental problem, obviously.
Yeah, there's something wrong with
That's
us.
why you haven't been able to dance Balboa,
Because
Mikey.
I'm too mentally disturbed.
One time I thought I almost fell off of a camel.
Wait.
But I didn't.
Let's backtrack a little bit. Why and where the hell were you on a camel?
I was
And how are you not sure?
I was at the zoo. It was my friend's 8th birthday, and for her birthday, we got to ride on a camel. And I don't know if you've ever seen a camel in real life, but they're pretty tall.
Yeah, they
Like
get
taller than a horse. And I was really far off the ground, and I was very scared. It was a one-hump camel, by the way, if anybody's curious.
Whoa.
And-
Let's not get racist here.
They walk so slowly that their entire body tilts to each side as they take a step. And so it took a step, and I was like, dear God, I'm falling off. And then I was like, oh, just kidding. I'm just going back the other way now. Don't even worry about it, you guys. I'm fine.
Swishy swashy. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the whole topic of this week, because after that, I mean, there is no coming back. Falling off camels, falling off horses, falling into Gary Chi.
And
all
now
about
my dog is about to fall off the bed watching Rachel tell the story.
this- Oh, poor Rhodey.
Oh, he calmed down. He's good.
He's like, hey, guys, there's a little too much excitement going on over
yeah, actually,
here.
before we get into the topic, Laura, what I'd
about
like
my
you-
dog more?
Yeah, actually, because there's a couple rules that come along with having a support dog.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really important, because like people like are just like, oh, a dog, and they run after it, you know.
Yeah, they want to pet it immediately.
What's some of the things that people would be listening if they saw you with Rhodey to understand?
So Rhodey is an emotional support animal, which means he's kind of a part-time service dog. He's not an official service dog by any means, but it means he can travel with me. So I would say, just in general, if any dog has a vest on, some kind of service vest, then you don't pet them, or at least ask first. But don't make eye contact with the dog. Don't reach for them. Don't talk to them. Let the dog focus on doing their job.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to be very clear. When Rhodey has his vest on, he just focuses on me, and when his vest is off, he's a normal dog, and people can pet him.
Yeah. And David, with you having a baby, I feel like people should understand things
Is
that
your baby a service baby? Are we allowed to look it in the eye when it has its vest on?
Only if you can handle the cuteness.
Oh my God,
That is
so
real.
cute.
He was playing in the doorway this morning. So at the Crown Plaza, they updated their doorway, so it's like this the revolving door, and it was like playing in front of the door, like. Wah!
He understands. You'll get the picture when he doesn't want something. He's no.
Oh man, how old is he now, by the way?
Just over 2.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
I remember watching you guys at ILHC this past year, and you guys were like trying to like let him do his thing and like create his own boundaries. I saw it, and then, but like sometimes he would just like start running, and then I see you running behind him and grab him and take him back. I was just like, oh jeez.
yeah. And then when he ran out to me in the middle of the competition.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
very cute.
Yes, I was
That
like,
was very
winner, winner. I'm not judging, but winner. So yeah, so that's our catch up part of the podcast. Now we're gonna move into the topic, and the topic today, of course, because we have David and Laura here, we're gonna talk about the Balboa community, the modern Balboa community. So the first thing I want to jump into is basically, how did you guys get started, and what got you hooked on doing Balboa? We'll start with David on this one.
So I took my first intro to the Lindy Hop world was in Fort Worth, Dallas area, and they had classes cycled every 2 weeks between Balboa, Lindy Hop, Charleston, and Collegiate Shag. And I was there about 6 months, and that imparted on me that these are the swing dances you need to know.
Yeah.
And
How long ago was that?
that was 2005. I did some dancing in college I
like those very tentative quotations.
Yeah.
Dancing.
It wasn't even East Coast swing. It was turn the girl till she pukes.
Booty dancing.
Yeah.
I think that's what
Love
they
it,
call
love it. Classic.
Yeah. So, but that was in the height of the swing era, 97 swing, big bad voodoo neo swing era.
Of course. Yeah.
But I didn't actually take classes until '05, and then but then I moved shortly 6 months later to DC for a job promotion, and began classes with David Dream and Balboa and Lindy Hop right away.
DC in 2005, 2006
Yeah.
area, right?
Yeah.
That's
The rest is history.
That's a really pivotal
Yeah,
time.
there was all the
Yep.
the amazing dancers that you associate with Gem Cellar at that time.
Yeah.
Of Lindy Hop, Andy Reid and Naomi and Nina, but then also David was the only one teaching Balboa.
Yeah.
And he taught at a different venue than Gem Cellar at the time. Later, Bobby and Keat came like a year or two later.
And that's your first like, whoa, this Balboa thing is awesome.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah. It was you had to learn everything. So.
Yeah. Laura?
When did I start Balboa? Is that where we're at? Well, I started dancing around 2000, 2001. And I learned Balboa, like my first classes were around that time. I kind of learned Balboa and Lindy and Shag. I learned Lindy first, East Coast Swing first. But I learned Lindy first. And then within a few months, I learned a little bit of Balboa and a little Shag. But at that time, the only way to learn Balboa was like taking a single Balboa class that was offered as like an intro to Balboa or something at workshops. So like, I think my first one was probably a Balboa class that Sylvia Sykes taught at Swing Out New Northwest when it was in Seattle. That was the New Year's event, one of the New Year's events of that time. Maybe the main one at that time. And I think that was like 2002 probably that I took that class. And then every event I went to, I would take a Balboa class, which was usually Sylvia Sykes teaching this same basic step each time. So it was pretty hard to learn Balboa in the beginning, just because like each time you just learn the same thing. And then when in Denver at the time, there wasn't really anybody doing Balboa. So I'd like go to a class and take it and learn it and then go back home and try to teach my friends, which never worked very well at all. But I mean, I loved the dance part. The thing that drew me to it was looking at the follows and how I really loved the feminine motion. Like the Lindy Hop at that time, the trend was a little bit more masculine in some of the follows that I admired. And then I loved how feminine the Balboa motion was. So it was really attractive to me. Specifically, it was Denise Paulino at the time. Now she's married as Denise Phelan. But I loved watching her dancing, and I just wanted to be able to move and dance a dance that allowed that style.
That's so cool. That's really nice. I didn't know about you seeing Denise. Maybe you had told me like a long time ago. For everybody out there, me and Laura go way back, a little too far back. But I didn't know about Denise. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So David, back to you again. What like got you so hooked on it that it made you want to stay with the dance? Because obviously there were so many in your first 6 months of dancing. You were like, there's this dance, and they're all swing dances. So what made you kind of like go for Balboa a little bit more?
Yeah, like the words I know how to talk about it now, I wouldn't have known then. It was just how you experience the dance.
Right.
But what I love about Bal, and sort of oppose it with what I love about Lindy Hop, is when I dance Lindy, there's a real sense of two individuals creating together, creating a dance together. Whereas when in Bal, and not always, but that's like the overall sense I get. Whereas when in Bal, I get a feeling of two become one, like flowing, moving together, experiencing the dancing together. And that union was really appealing, that sense of just flowing together.
I like that.
And
that is really succinct. Like it's really. I mean, I could see that for sure. It doesn't mean it's going to be like that all the time, right? Balboa or Lindy Hop, but that's the way you feel it, and that's the thing. Like to everybody who's listening right now, like this podcast is really special for me feeling this, because we're going to talk about our point of views, and our opinions. That doesn't mean that necessarily it's right, even as much as me and Laura may think we are. But
I'm always right.
yeah,
For yourself.
but it's going to be our point of view and our thing. But that is one of the biggest points of all swing dances. Is there? I really feel like there is no right way unless you're trying to go for a really good dance. In which case, that is the right way for you. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's something I think I experienced like day one, just from the bow basic, and that I think anyone can probably get on day one. That feeling of just moving and flowing together.
Yeah, it really
and
is.
It feels like you're floating.
And I totally agree with you. And what you said, like Lindy Hop tends to be more of two dancers working together, and it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. Whereas Balboa can tend to be a little bit more two become one. Again, like Mikey said, it can be interchangeable. Sometimes Lindy Hop can be more two become one, and Balboa can be more two dancers dance together. You can have both extremes, or both. I guess you can have a range. I should say between those. But I think that's also one of the reasons Balboa, in some ways, is harder for people to pick up in the beginning, is because in Lindy Hop, as you're working through your footwork and your connection and your struggles, you spend a lot of time in open position. Open position in Lindy, meaning you have one hand connected to your partner, one point of connection, and a lot of room to be on the wrong foot without making it uncomfortable for your partner.
Right.
Whereas in Balboa, you spend most of the time with in not even chest to chest, but close position, meaning a hand on the back or shoulder, and then also the other hand connected, or close position chest to chest, which is even more close, which means your partner is going to be more affected if you're on a different foot than what was expected,
right?
Or if your connection isn't quite right, you're going to be more aware of your partner's disconnects than in Lindy, or it's going to be more uncomfortable than in Lindy. You can kind of get away with it. So I think some people are surprised by that and feel uncomfortable about that. As well, for me, when I was drawn to Balboa, I love the look of it, but that two become one was a turnoff for me a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because as a follow, I wanted to have my voice, and I didn't know how to have my voice in that context. And it took me a little while to realize I needed to stop trying to have my Lindy voice in Balboa. Like, if I want to dance a Lindy style, I do Lindy. And when I want to dance Balboa, it took me a while to learn how to have my own style in a different dance. And there was that desire for me to instantly be the same level in my Balboa as I was in my Lindy, which is not realistic.
Yeah, but you bring up a really good point. And another reason why I really chose both of you to be a part of this is because I feel in both your cases I mean, not being present and the time of you learning the dance for the first time, but this is something that I see in both your dances and both the way you present the dance and present yourselves in the scene is individuals and really looking for your voice in it, your personality in the dance. And it's so evident to me, especially with Laura, because we talk so much about it, being in charge of Cal and everything. And David, our conversations have always been super interesting because it's such a point of view. I'm like, oh, I really didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
You know, and it really gets me every time. For everybody out there, I do Balboa.
Do you?
Stop.
Do you?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, do you?
Okay, you caught me. I didn't do it. I just did it one
Really?
time. I did it one time because all my friends were doing it, and so I was
There
like,
we go.
I might as well join it. I mean, people are at a party.
Here we go.
People are at a party.
Out comes
and you're
the truth.
You're just things are passing. People are passing the powder
Everybody else
around.
is doing it. They were pressuring me,
They were
and I was
passing the
like,
powder around the
it didn't
grounds.
mean anything.
It didn't mean anything.
It didn't
Yeah,
mean anything.
didn't
I
mean anything.
swear.
I was a kid. I was 12,
I
13
didn't
years
know
old.
any better.
Yeah.
Don't let him fool you. He's
Yeah.
really
The
good.
powder is a thing, though. Do you
Yeah.
know that Jeremy got a gift of a Tic Tac pack this weekend filled with like dance wax for Balboa? And he was
Yep.
like, Laura, if you use this, you got to be really careful. I think he got it from Corey Mankey.
Yeah, he did. He
Oh my
had
God.
one
The
last
chemist.
night. He had one last night.
Oh my, like homemade. Yeah. Oh my god.
Corey had, he came up to me in a suit jacket. He's like, I got the good stuff. He opens up his jacket, pulls
Oh my
up this
God.
plastic bag with like a kilo of dance wax.
Oh dear God.
So let it be known the Balboa dancers do have a sense of humor. Everybody, it happens to be very, very sick. No, but I did see.
That
I
was
did
very
see,
dry.
I did see them with the Tic Tac thing, and that was really funny. And I thought it was really dope. But like, to be honest, that does come from tradition, and Balboa has so many. I mean, Lindy Hop has a lot of tradition too, but because Balboa was so centralized in one area as opposed to different areas, like Lindy Hop was or became, because of that, we have a lot of like inside jokes, and that little tic tac thing, that little wax thing, comes from the old school days where all the dancers were like, we need to make this floor slicker.
Yeah, they would carry around a film canister.
Yeah.
It wasn't Tic Tac jars or packs. It was film canisters.
Or what they started doing when I started going to Bob McGee's when I was like 13 years old is a block of wax to shine on your foot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a block of wax, like an inch.
like
and-
Like a
wax.
bar of soap.
Yeah, like a bar of soap, and then you just rub it on your feet, and then you just move it around in a place. You do it one more time, and you rub it around another place, and everyone would do that. By the end of the night, the floor was ice.
But see right there, Mikey is a Balboa dancer. He just gave it away. He was at Bobby McGee's.
Yeah, I really was. I was very afraid. I was nosed by Bart Bartolo, and that was so awkward as fuck because I was 13 years old.
What does that mean?
That means okay. So Bart, right? I mean, you guys probably have a story about it, but if not, this is gonna fucking sound weird. But he's an old school dancer who learned from Dean Collins and also grew up in Southern California. But in his older age, his voice started to give out on him, right? And so he thought. Also, he drank a lot. So also he thought in his drinking moments that he's like, I need to tell these kids what's what, you know. And we talk about this with Dean as well, like Dean Rafferty, where that generation of dancer had no problem going up to somebody and going, hey, you're doing this. You should be doing this. Like they have no problem with that.
Yes.
As opposed to today,
sir.
we're
Whatever you say.
like, I'll wait for class to say something. Like, you know. But so Bart would come up to you, grab you around the neck, you know, bring you in real close and try to speak into your ear, but his nose would go right into the side of your face. And his, look, kid, you got to stop doing that. Stop kicking. Stop doing all those tricks and just keep it smooth. Keep it fucking smooth. And he would curse and it would spit and I'm like,
You see this watch?
yeah, and I'm just staring forward, like, keep looking forward. Go to my
Tears
happy
in your
place.
eyes.
Yeah, go to my happy place. I remember vividly my brother watching me from above the dance floor because I was sitting right next to the dance floor on the bar on like little stools, right, or the little, what are they called? Couches, I guess, right? At
That
Bob
thing
McGee's.
that you're sitting on right now?
Yeah, because it was around the dance floor, and then there was like 2 steps up above the dance floor because the dance floor was sunk below. And I remember seeing my brother cracking his shit up with his friends from Riverside, and he was cracking his shit up, and he's just like laughing. And I thought he took pictures because I thought he took like flash, because back then it was like actual cameras, right? Now camera phones, and so. And I just remember like, oh my god, this is so weird. But yeah, but that's what hooked me. I really like the attention that I got, the spit and the cursing of an old man in my ear.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah. Rachel, what's your experience with the Balboa?
Well, one time I took a Lindy Hop / Balboa workshop with Joel and Allison Plies back in like 2006.
Oh, that is real old school right there.
That's about it. I have very little. Well, and I help organize cowbell.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I'm there.
Yeah.
But I have like no experience in the Balboa scene. I know very little about the dance, which is
so great because like I feel like between these two right here, like they have so much like ideas and feelings that maybe sound really common for them, but for you and maybe a little bit even me, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like,
Yeah,
I wanna,
well,
like,
it
dig
was-
through that.
Yeah.
like before we started recording, I made a joke about we were talking about like how the podcast is going to go, and I was like, I'll say something stupid like, oh, how do you do a rock step? And Mikey was like, you have no idea what that means. You have no idea.
Which we may or may not get into at some point at this thing. But let's move on. So let's go into the idea of the modern community today. What do you guys remember as being the first official like Balboa event or festival? Like the first one that was just dedicated to Balboa. Whatever that means to you. David, you go ahead.
Just dedicated to Balboa. Well,
Yeah.
I first would speak not just Balboa, but to bring up Camp Hollywood, the old shag competitions. Well, back in, like as you're discovering the dance, there was shag, there was Balboa, specifically Denise and Steve Garrett. And there were other Balboa couples as well. And I guess it wasn't until That was in what, 99, 2000? Maybe it was in 01 or 02 where they found out that, okay, Balboa is this separate dance and we need a different division for it than shag.
Well, no. In the to kind of comment on that, in the '98 one, in the '98 Camp Hollywood, which is the first one, they had the contest that was called just the Jitterbug contest, and that meant basically you can go in there and do Lindy Hop, you can go in there and do Balboa, you can go in there and do shag. I remember vividly watching that because I had the VHS and I watched it so many times. Sean Carter and Cassandra Bug were the only ones to go into that contest and only do Balboa. And I'm talking Sean Carter with the really long, obscene ponytail back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was the only one to do. There was a couple shaggers and there was a lot of Lindy Hoppers, but he was the only one to do Balboa. And I think he did place because at the time, like, no one was doing it like that. Yeah. So that was the original kind of beginnings. But like you said,
they
like
had
in
a separate
2001
shag jam too.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. And then later, like you said, like 2000, 2001, they started going, okay, maybe we should have a separate Balboa one as well. Because that's when the NJC started as well.
Yeah, it's so crazy to watch those and see how much more prominent collegiate shag was.
Yeah, it really was than Balboa, for sure. So, besides that, what do you think, Laura? What do you think was
my understanding is the first all Balboa event was all Balboa weekend.
Aptly named.
Yeah, exactly. And that started with Joel Plies and Valerie Sahlstrom and Sylvia Sykes.
Yeah. What year was that? Do you guys remember?
I think there's a class in 01 and then the first competition was 02.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
It was like just workshops in 01?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just Sylvia and Jonathan.
Yeah, and Jonathan Bixby.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Jonathan Bixby. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That's like a really long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
My first exposure to him was at Balboa Rendezvous, and it was really really beautiful out because it's on Balboa Peninsula, and his response was, I don't do weather.
Jonathan Bixby is Sylvia Sykes' original partner, who is very gay, but he's also very Southern.
Yeah.
So he's got like a little bit of the lisp, but a little bit of the way of talking, a little twang that he got, and it's such an endearing thing because like you really pay attention to it because you're like, oh, it's so cute when he's teaching.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he is awesome. I remember for me, of course, all Bal was happening. This is like just as the internet is taking off back in the early 2000s, and I was like, oh, all Balboa weekend. That sounds weird. Okay, and then I remember going with you, Laura, to Rendezvous.
Balboa Rendezvous, yeah.
Which was 2005, I think, was the first year, right? Because I don't remember hearing about it before that.
Yeah. I don't... Mikey, you're asking me?
Yeah.
I don't do dates.
Yeah, no, exactly. Do you remember?
Yeah,
David?
it was 05.
It was 2005?
No, it was totally 5. It was totally 05.
You flew
That's right.
Rachel.
You guys, I know.
Nailed it again.
I know. I've got the knowledge right here.
Yeah,
all Balboa knowledge.
Little did you guys
noggin.
know, she's been the quiet scribe of the Balboa scene with all these
I'll
years.
be the dark horse that comes out later on this year.
So
was that a horse sound,
yeah,
Mikey?
Yeah,
kind of sounded like an elephant.
Was that not good? Okay. I mean, that too.
Just I don't so like. You guys know, internet. That was Mikey making that sound. That was not my dog.
I don't like that you're both over there.
One for the record.
I don't like that you're both on this anymore together.
I know Rachel and I are sharing a
Don't
microphone, and I keep getting a little confused about whether she or I are talking. So hopefully you guys can figure out.
Yeah.
Like one of us will be talking and be like, "Wait, is that me talking or is that her talking?
It's
I don't
so
know.
close.
Whose mouth is moving right now?"
That's kind of how I feel.
But
it's so hard to tell.
Going back to Cowbell, going back to Rendezvous, something a little bit before that, precursor in the sense of competition. California Balboa Championships.
Yeah. You get that right.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
championships.
Peter Loggins just it.
Yeah, which has been making the rounds lately. The video of the final all skate, which was insane to white heat. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember?
Yeah. Who was in that? I know Jeremy was in that.
Jeremy and Alicia.
Wasn't
Ben and Karina. Steve.
Were they in it?
No. Yes, they were, and they were just dancing in the corner. Okay. No, they were a part of it. They didn't make finals.
Okay.
Barbara Rice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, sorry, and then Steve and Denise, and then Christian and Thea, and Tip
All people
and
I know.
Holly, and me and Cassandra.
Mikey was
first
there.
partner.
You were in the finals with Cassandra?
If you watch it, I'm in the back with a striped shirt with pants up to my tits and the blondest hair you've ever seen on a brown boy.
No.
Oh, yes.
No, shut the front
I
door.
went full on Super Saiyan.
Oh, my
and it was
God.
horrible.
Did you rip off your jacket midway through the competition?
No, I didn't wear a jacket this time.
I have the feeling Mikey's secret reason for doing the Balboa talk on this so he could talk about his history with Balboa.
because little does anybody know, I'm actually the reason why the Balboa scene was created. Because everyone's like, get away from us. We're going over here to play. You go over there and play.
In case you didn't know, Mikey was there in the beginning.
See? Fuck you. Fuck you.
Oh, why?
Fuck you, Rhodey. You're cool.
He's like, what, guys? I'm asleep.
He's totally passed out.
No, but okay. So that was the first like real big contest, right? Because that was 2000.
What place did you get?
That was 2000. Last. 5th place, 6th place, whatever. Because like it was all the people that I admired at the time in LA. But the thing is that was the first real big contest, and it was judged only by old timers.
Oh, wow.
Only by old timers, and that was it. Because there was nobody else. Peter wasn't going to trust that anybody else doing anything.
Yeah.
Then All Bal started in 2001, and that brought a different thing. Because I remember very vividly the second year of California Balboa Championships was in the New Memories.
It wasn't called that, though. It was called the Cal-Bal Championships.
Was it? I thought it was
Yeah.
but I thought that was the
It was short for that, but
Yeah.
I think everyone called it the Cal-Bal
Cal-Bal,
Championships, which is why I stole that for my event.
Appropriated.
The California Balboa Classic, Cal-Bal Classic.
So, but here's the
Just
thing.
saying.
Here's the thing. I remember the second year because it got much bigger, and it was at the New Memories, which was a little bit bigger. It had more space at least, dance floor space.
And it was started by Peter Loggins,
It
right?
was started by Peter Long and Lisa Ferguson.
And Lisa. So I want to give credit where
Yes,
credit's
definitely.
due.
Both of them. I mean, they've helped the scene out so much. So besides those events, what was your first time at a Balboa event?
Mine
Wow.
was all Balboa weekend.
In
what year?
yeah.
I
Come on,
mean,
you
it
can
was
try. You can try. You
before
sound so afraid.
2005. It was probably before 2005.
So maybe 2003,
It was
2004. maybe?
definitely before I got the scar on my knee.
She does have a scar on her knee.
I
So,
do actually have a scar on my leg, but not from Balboa. Yeah, it was probably 2003 or so.
Do you remember like the experience at all? Was it a
Oh
good
my
one? Was
gosh,
it a bad
it was
one?
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that event. I still love that event.
I'm sure you took shit tons of classes.
Oh, I took all of the classes. I loved it so much. I have so many memories there. So that was before it was a hotel event, and it was in this old building, like
Bohemian?
4-story. The Bohemian, yeah. the
Yeah, because I remember seeing the videos and I was like, oh my god, that place is amazing.
Yeah, and I just have such fond memories of dancing in a ballroom with the bands on stage, packed wall to wall with people doing Balboa.
Yeah.
It was like the one time a year for several years I would dance Balboa once a year at that event
Yeah.
because there were no other Balboa events at that time. So I 3 days of Balboa, and then the next year I would try to like not just pick up where I left off, but catch up to where I was in the first night so that the next 2 days I could progress.
Yeah.
were people dressing up as nicely back then as they do now? Like, was everybody wearing heels and suits and skirts?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because that's the origins of the dance. Like,
Yeah.
you had to be able to, in order to get to a dance, you had to be able to pay the cover charge, and then you had to be dressed appropriately in heels.
The dress code.
And dress, yeah.
There's definitely like been some changes in the dress. Like
Sure.
I remember there was a period and it got to be a little absurd where everyone competed in a vest.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But even in Balboa?
In Balboa.
Yeah, because I was thinking like
It-
Lindy Hop for sure. Like that was
Yeah.
the uniform.
Yeah.
I think that's thankfully gone.
Yeah.
But still some people do, but there's a little more variety in what you see.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What was your first event that you went to? All
I
Balboa
think it
week?
might have been all Balboa 2006.
Hmm.
I was in DC at that time, and yeah, that's.
Do you remember
Take-
parts of it? Do you remember it?
Yeah,
Make it
I
really
mean,
fun?
I took the classes. I was more of a intermediate-ish. They had.
Ish.
Yeah.
That classic saying, I'm intermediate.
Ish.
Ish.
There's a wide variety there. So
Yeah.
like they have like six levels or so, and I think I was in the advanced level, which was a level 4, which was the biggest. So there's a wide variety there. But I was stoked to be learning all Balboa for the weekend. I had only started into the Bal classes like a month before, so I was diving in.
Yeah. Right into the deep end.
Yeah.
So you were a little more advanced with your Lindy Hop at that time than your Balboa.
No, I started them sort of contemporaneously, but I dived in very quickly.
Okay.
With a lot of privates and things like that. So by the time that I showed up for an event, like just knowing the basic and a toss out, and there was out and ins, but it wasn't as much a part of the dance then as it is now.
You know what? That's a really good point, because like I feel like I never learned out and ins until like much later.
Yeah.
Because what we called out, what I see was being called out and ins later. Earlier, it was just crossovers.
Yeah.
Right.
And and later I learned to, and you guys can tell me. Because Rachel is.
I actually know because I remember at my Joel and Allison workshop, you guys, in 2006, they were teaching out and ins, and they were like these crossover things.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that now it's something else.
Well, the thing is
what that thing is, I'm not sure.
Which always happens in these dances that we try to recreate, and this is going to take us into the next part of this thing. But before that, is like crossovers to me now that kind of like gotten a better idea of everything, is that crossovers is actually just like to put it a really, really simple term, a variation of an out and in, because it's the same timing, but it's just you're using it differently, as opposed to out and in is like the real basic understanding of the movement and the connection and everything you need to know, and then you can start changing it up. That's what it seemed like to me. It just seemed like another classic thing for me was like jumping ahead and learning something because I saw it in a video once, and then like going back and going, okay, this is actually what we're really doing, and then going back to that point.
Like at one time, the master's level class was taking the crossovers and, oh wait, no, just do step, hold step in place, and working your crossover, working your out and in.
Yeah.
And that was the master's level class, whereas that's day one out and ins now. In beginner classes.
Do you feel like that too, Laura?
Yeah. In fact, I've heard some people are a little bit irritated that crossovers have been a little bit lost in the Balboa scene. A lot of people don't even know what they are nowadays, because and part of it was because it was correcting a problem that people were doing crossovers, which was a pattern using out and in flow and technique, and people didn't understand out and in flow and technique. So then there was a bunch of out and in flow and technique that was taught, which means that a lot of people lost the crossover pattern, which was good in some ways, because too many people just automatically resorted to this pattern of out and in, or of crossovers, without knowing how it worked. And anytime you started to go back into it, they would resort back to their habits of how they did it with not very connected technique. And then they got, so nowadays people do out and ins really well. And if they learn crossovers, they can do them really well. But there's not as much crossovers being taught. And if you don't know what those are, I'm sure you can Google it on the YouTube and figure it out. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say that.
You can say whatever you want. You do you, boo.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's true. A lot more people do just compression-based out-ins, where they go out and together, as opposed to like passing through each other and using more space.
And that's a really interesting thing for a long time, because one thing that's echoed in my ears for years now is when Laura used to tell me, like, you're moving too big around the dance floor when you're dancing Balboa. And she just meant it as like, you're just stepping too big. Like, I get it. And we were young at the time, so like it's like we didn't really know. We just kind of heard something one time and kind of took it one way, and then try to like vaguely say it to somebody else. But the thing is like, for me, like, that rings true, because like in the classic sense of Balboa, you have to think of a giant ballroom packed to the brim with kids that want to dance fast, slow, whatever tempo, but they want to hold someone close, right? Who said that? Was that Hal? Or was that someone else? Someone said Balboa is fun and amazing because you can dance real fast with your gal and still hold her close.
Yeah. I don't know who said that.
I remember. I think it was from maybe a Camp Hollywood lecture from that first year where they had all the legends up there. all the old timers. But it's
what you're talking about there
yeah
is original style Balboa.
yeah
What oftentimes nowadays we'll refer to as pure Balboa to refer to the original style. So original style Balboa is the chest to chest when you're holding them close, whereas out and ins are not a part of original Balboa.
Great. So that's really good. That's actually what I would love to get into right there. So with Balboa as well, or is the aptly named nowadays Pure Bal?
Yeah, more people within the Balboa community, people will tend to specify by calling original style Balboa, they'll call it Pure Bal to help people understand they are talking about that original form of Balboa.
And is the easiest way to explain it, I mean, like a really good, just kind of blanket statement is being like, you're in closed position for most of the dance.
Yeah. So original style Balboa, Pure Bal today is chest to chest the entire time. In fact, originally they had signs on the wall, or at least the story goes, there were signs on the walls that said no breakaways because it was too crowded.
Right.
So you danced chest to chest. You didn't, breakaways were spins and turns and things like that. So you would dance mostly chest to chest. I mean, it wasn't a rule like if your chest don't touch for a second, you'd be kicked out. But it was chest to chest the whole time.
But if you show some ankle,
yeah,
God forbid.
Exactly. Out you go.
Out
you go. Bye.
You know, it's so funny because like we go back to what you said before, David. What hooked you was the feeling of like two people becoming one and moving together. Did you know the history of it before you had that
I had
hooking
no
feeling?
idea, right? And it's just that the dance and the experience of the dance initially that hooked me to it. And I've heard it that, you know, beyond dancing closed, I've heard it said like if you stand out, like you're ceasing to do Balboa. That it's centered around the state dance of going out with your partner and just being able to sway and move together and feel that flow around the floor together. You know, there was other closed position dances that were like crushed with your partner, like jig trot, where your feet are leaving the ground and doing lots of shuffly things. Right, and you could see a really good example of that in Groovy Movie when they shoot from underneath the dancers and you just see their feet going crazy. Yeah, and some of those elements we bring into our Pure Bal today as what we think about Pure Bal is this more expanded notion. So in the sense of that, the opposite would be then a version of Balboa or a version of the Bal that is done in open position. And is it okay to say that in the open position stuff like toss outs or turns where you leave that double connection as in one hand on the back and one hand holding the other hand of your partners doing turns and whatnot, that would be considered Bal-Swing? Is that a good way to say it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be Bal-Swing. Originally that was just called swing. And that was done in LA. So it was a regional difference. Right. In LA you had swing going on. And that swing it didn't look like Lindy Hop. Lindy Hop hadn't come to LA yet. So that was the style of dancing that was done to the popular music. It was swing. But it looked like what we say today. It looked similar to Bal-Swing. It was less homogenized as far as I've seen of footage. There wasn't rules. It was just swing dancing, but it was spin and turn based, kind of kick based. Whereas in Orange County at that time, you had the Balboa, original style Balboa happening.
You're damn right you did.
Exactly.
That's my hometown. Sorry.
I want to call it my hometown too.
It is.
You were there for a long time.
Yeah. We'll count.
It's good, but keep going. I'm sorry.
So nowadays we do a mix of the two dances because of how close the locations were. The dancers started mixing, and you would have swing dancers who would add in Balboa steps to their dancing, and you would have Balboa dancers who would add in swing steps, and then the term Bal-Swing came along. Right. Eventually, and nowadays we tend to use Bal-Swing to reference everything, but it's still good to have the separation, right? I mean, just to have the historic sense of it. Yeah. To know where it came from. Yeah, and you also notice a lot of people today will say Balboa, like a Balboa contest tends to be more of a swing contest than an actual original Balboa. So if you go to a Balboa event, you're going to see like a pure Balboa contest sometimes, which means original style. And then if it doesn't say pure Balboa, usually it means it's swing, even if it's called a Balboa contest. So I know that's confusing. A lot of people get really confused with that terminology. Right. And the funny thing is when the Cowbow Championships, the Peter Loggins at Memories and Lisa Ferguson won,
there was a point of contention when that happened, because at the meeting, the competitors meeting, which was outside of the venue, in the parking lot, that was like, what do you mean by this? What is pure bow? What does mean? What is it? Because it was a part of it that was that, and there was a part of it that was like, you can be an open,
Right.
And so he that's how I remember it. How Peter said, this, and this is what we're going to consider pure bow. If you do anything that is beyond that, you're not going to be knocked down, but you're not going to be knocked up for it.
Right.
And so, and then he would say Bal-Swing is the stuff where you could do turns and tricks and flip and do whatever you want, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So swing originally was much more of a flashy dance.
Yeah.
Of that time. Again, as it evolved, there were swing outs that weren't similar. They don't look quite like the way we do Lindy Hop swing outs today. If you watch any footage of Hal Tekier doing his swing out, that's one of the classic kinds of swing outs you would see. You can also see in Maharaja with Hal Tekier and Betty Tekier. You can see them doing Charleston, tandem Charleston, and Hal's version of swing outs and things like that. All of that was considered, I mean, he was considered a bal dancer.
Right.
In that he would mix bal steps and swing steps together, or a swing dancer by some. And he won every competition. Nobody could touch him. He was the flashiest dancer
We
out there.
all knew that growing up, and we were like, that was the man. But like,
Yeah.
it was hard to pin him down as he's a Lindy Hop, or he's a Charleston dancer,
Yeah.
or he's a Balboa dancer.
Because he did it all, but he wasn't really considered a Lindy Hopper necessarily, or a Charleston dancer,
Yeah.
although he did those steps.
I think today he would have that same problem. Like if he came, like with the time in the early 2000s, like I feel like he wouldn't have that problem. And people would be like, "Oh yeah, he's a bal dancer,"
Right.
because it was still a little ignorant of the scene of the people, like people dancing like us. But nowadays we have helped to define it again, and help to redo these like regional lines. Like you said, like LA to Orange County is the same thing. Like something like Collegiate Shag or like Carolina Shag to St. Louis Shag. Right? It's all shag because it has a name, but it doesn't mean it's the same thing.
Right.
It's very similar, but not completely.
When you guys were learning Balboa originally, was there a distinction between pure bow and Bal-Swing? And if not, how do you think that came to be? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
For me, yes, they were taught as this is a pure bal. We're going to do pure Balboa for this class, and we're going to do Bal-Swing for this class. Or sometimes even within one class, they would do both, but they would say this is a pure bal move or this is a swing move. And sometimes you can do chest to chest stuff that wouldn't be considered pure bal. So just being chest to chest doesn't necessarily automatically mean pure bal. But regardless, that was definitely already a term that was in use when I started. And I was listening to the track Sylvia Sykes interviews. She talks about
We
it a
don't
little
talk
bit.
about that show on this
I'm
on this show.
sorry.
We don't talk about that
The
garbaggio
competitor.
over there. Just kidding.
That shall not be named.
Ryan
Just-
Swift.
Just kidding, Ryan Swift. You know I love you.
We
Expand
love
you.
you.
But Sylvia talks about that a little bit, that she had heard that term early on, and that so I would recommend going to the source.
Right.
Unless David, do you have something to say on that?
No, I mean, I came a couple of years later, so
Yeah.
I definitely experienced it as something distinct. But yeah, there's been as we've developed like more and have more knowledge of the dance, certainly what we think about as being within the dance, and then some treat it as have a more creative approach to it, and they want to expand the notion of what they call pure bow, and others want to keep that sense of pure Balboa as
The classic sense.
in a classic sense, and want to think about those expansions as sort
Yeah.
of more in the swing category.
And you know what's so funny for me, like the idea, I know for me, and again, learning all these terms in the time period that I did, I was a teenager, and I feel like I was always rebellious against everything. It just happened to be within the Lindy Hop or swing community. So when I started hearing these ideas of like pure bow, I was like, pure? Ugh, what is this, the Aryan race? What is wrong with you? Like, I had such a negative at like, oh, don't tell me what I'm doing type thing,
Yeah.
But the older I got, the more experience, the more knowledge, the more to the source people that I got to talk to, like the old timers, and especially Sylvia, and just talking with fellow dancers. Like it doesn't mean just that. It's just the easiest way to like say that's what that means, to define it. And a definition doesn't really mean it's a rock solid thing. It just means couple of guidelines to follow that help you along the way.
I like how you talk about yourself as a teenager in almost every single episode, and the only descriptor that you use to describe your teenage years is rebellious.
Yeah. I was a rebellious
Every
swing
time.
dancer. I was sneaking into clubs. I was jumping train tracks and then jumping up on top of things and then sneaking through the door when the organizer wasn't looking.
Because you were too young.
I was too young.
Oh.
I was too young. Or I would get into public fights on the original Jive Junction with people. Or I would get into fights with people on the dance floor and be like, don't get in my way.
Do your
Or
listeners know what the original Jive Junction is or any of these things you reference?
We don't talk about Garbaggio on the show.
Oh, harsh words.
But I mean, Jive Junction, yeah, we've actually talked about it before.
We've talked about it a little bit.
It was like the dance forum. It was a bulletin board back in the day. And now it's kind of a group on Facebook, which, I mean, you can go there if you feel super depressed, whatever.
So basically,
Ouch.
you saw all the kids and swing kids rebelling. And
Pretty
you
much.
wanted to rebel as
Pretty
well.
much.
He was like, I have to be like them.
I mean, you guys, the first time I saw Swing Kids,
Swing aisle.
I saw it 2 times in a row.
No.
I saw it once
No.
with my dad when we were sitting in the living room and we watched it, and then he was like, we got to go to bed. I was like, can I watch it one more time? Yeah, I was like, I really fucking loved it, and it was right at the beginning. It was right at the beginning where I was going out dancing on Sunday nights, and that was my only
Was
time.
that movie in theaters, or was it like a
Yeah.
straight to
Yeah.
TV kind of movie?
It was out in theaters. I remember seeing the advertisements for it, but it happened like right before the whole swing craze happened, and that kind of helped.
Yeah.
Right, it happened right before the Gap ad came out.
Because I unfortunately saw that movie like a little too late. I think I saw it in like 2006 or 2007, and I had already been dancing for a couple of years at that point, and so I saw it and I was like, "This is stupid."
I mean, the redeeming quality though is Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Wait, he's in that movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know.
He's the best friend that turns Hitler.
yeah.
Oh my God.
And
Well,
so
I
all
mean,
I-
that's
all-
appropriate, am I right? I mean, what a dick.
But the thing is like ever since then, I'm like, I just want to ask Batman to dance now. I just want to see. Just remember, come on, man. Remember one
Would it
sweet
be
move. One sweet move.
He punches a guy out and then does a little 20s Charleston on the side as a
why not?
celebratory dance.
Why not? So okay, so that's good. I mean, because like talking about the history is so important nowadays. I feel like a lot of people go to this dance with open arms and open minds and everything. It's really good. But then learning the historic part of the dance helps you kind of root it back into like, oh, it's a tradition. It's not just something that is just a hobby, even though people can do it as a hobbyist in this dance, but like learning a little bit further helps it become this grander than this moment. It's you're continuing an idea based off of so many other people's ideas and individuality and ideas of personality.
Yeah, definitely. Like from my perspective, like people identify my dancing as sort of outside the box. Or,
I think
Yeah.
I've heard people say
Yeah.
that, and I
Yeah.
go, you mean fucking amazing? Yeah. Awesome.
But in terms of like, I watch the old footage constantly and try to keep that original spirit. And it's really
when's the last time you saw like a old clip and try to like recreate or trying to get some knowledge out of it? When was the last time you did it?
You mean like today?
Seriously? No way. Honestly?
Yeah.
That's fucking dope. What about you, Laura? It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. But
Do you still watch YouTube clips?
Yeah. Not as often as probably a lot of people do. But yeah, I do. And I'm inspired by watching things, but I don't like to break things down off video as much as some other people do. Like that's not necessarily how I learn the best. So I'll watch for an overall visual, and that influences my dancing immediately. But I don't necessarily watch and break things down. I remember one year I watched like 2004 Camp Hollywood, 2003, and my dancing was wrecked for the next week or so because I was automatically doing like a million kickball changes and things that I could not get it out, and I didn't break anything down. I just watched
my
this
God.
footage.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry, it's super hot in here, and it's completely my fault.
Laura came in
Laura, you're
to
so hot,
Mikey's
Laura.
villa and was like, "It's freezing in here." she literally turned it up like 12 degrees. It was like
Seriously.
72 or something, and it was like she bumped it all the way up to 80, and she was like, Mikey, just so you know, you're gonna have to turn down your heater when I leave.
But
and he was like, what's it at? And I was like, 80, and she was like, Rachel, stop. Shh.
Stop it. Don't do it.
But now it's a sauna in here.
Wait, okay. So speaking about the clips and everything, and like people going back to the historical documents, like it's really good. And again, maybe just reiterating this, but like this is the reason why I love both your dancing, and this is the reason why I asked both of you to be here, is because you guys have such a knowledge of the history of the dance, but also aren't afraid to push it even further beyond of what they did, which I think is very important in all the dances, is to understand the roots, but understand that we're an evolving dance, even though we're kind of still stuck in time a little bit with our music, because there's no new music. It's all the same old stuff being rehashed. But in that sense, like, you're taking what we already have done and taking it to another level. And sometimes it's fucking crazy. Sometimes it's super elegant, and sometimes it's the other way around, for both of you. So like that's the way I feel about it, in that sense. Do you guys feel like you guys are like that?
Yeah, so I think the challenging thing that we all learn is breaking through the figures that we learn and finding our own creative voice and how to be our authentic selves when we move, and being able to there's a sense of just enjoying yourself on the floor, but like having your personality and figuring out how that personality translates into movement.
Yeah.
And letting that movement, like the more those two join, the more you're going to take these basic figures that we all know, out-and-ins and lollies and other movements, but they're going to give them, you're going to give them life and a breadth that they wouldn't, that some of the original dancers didn't have because they weren't you.
Yeah. Do you feel like that?
Yeah. I love the beauty of the original forms of the dance, Balboa and LA Swing. And so I like the idea of taking the spirit of the dance, like recognizing what things make up the whole besides just the steps, and doing the steps a certain way, but like what's the feeling, what's the flavor, how do you recreate that and come up with a new thing, but that still honors the original spirit, because that's part of what defines a dance. And so as soon as you start to leave the spirit of the dance, you've started to create a new dance, which is not a bad thing. That's a super cool thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm doing these dances because I love them, and so if I wanted to create a new dance, that would be something different. And I would rather I'm still content dancing these dances, and staying within that spirit. So I like to stay in the spirit, but still create new things within that.
That's good.
Yeah, there's such a. It's part of why I love watching the old footage. Is it continues because I might be more prone to going in my own direction because I enjoy all these different styles of movement. So by like re-immersing myself in the older footage, mm-hmm. and particularly in the different types of movement that were contemporaneous that they would have been exposed to. Mm-hmm. Like someone I love is Halleroy, a tap dancer. Mm-hmm. That's in one of the Bal footages that we watched, and just watching his movement and Fred Astaire and others that they would have seen on screen, and a movement that they would have been exposed to that would have informed their dancing. I know one of the Bal greats, Willie Desautoff, was incredibly inspired by Fred Astaire and his smoothness, and he brought that into his dancing. And so there's certainly immersing yourselves in those other related jazz dances can re-inspire and bring life into Bal in the same spirit of creativity that they would have used when they're creating. Yeah,
I mean, you bring up a really good point, and like I've been thinking about this like this week, and it's only been 2 or 3 days of Lindy Focus, but like there's been a real like, hey, we know 2016 sucked, but we're gonna make it better, right? Yay! Like I'm like, okay, cool, and then they say it again like 2 seconds later. I'm like, and then they say it again 10 seconds later. I'm like, okay, if we're trying to get over it, stop saying it, But here's the thing. That's just a joke, but the really idea that I want to pass on from this is that in that same vein where you were like, I'm trying to get their inspiration of what they might have been looking at the time. When you think about back then in the 1920s, 1930s, there's prohibition, there's the depression, there's a world war. Like during all this time, like all this stuff was not the best time of history. And so for us, like I feel like we're gonna enter hopefully if we keep the same mentality, our swing dances, Balboa Shag, Lindy Hop, even in some respects West Coast, even in other respects Carolina Shag, like all the surrounding swing dances are gonna enter like a new kind of like enlightened age where we're gonna push forward because everything around us says we can't. So it's gonna push us forward even more to say that we can and do something more individual, do something more personal. And I just can't wait to see the coming years of what this dance is going to become, you know, keeping in mind that there's a history to it, but keeping in mind that like there's a lot of things holding us back, so all we want to do is just burst past it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I kind of said it and I was like, meh. All right, so let's move on a little bit. Competitions. You had said something, David, earlier about competitions and how like it's not that much of a showy dance, Balboa and Bal-Swing for some respects, right? So how do you deal with competitions nowadays?
Well, that was when he made that point. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was referencing specifically Balboa, the close connection dance.
Obviously,
and that, it's a date dance.
Yeah.
But then as it developed, right, the pure Balboa blended with the swing movements. So a lot of those non-showy elements became blended in with the swing and the things that were showy. So it has both those dynamics in the dance that we have today.
Yeah. But then we still have contests of Balboa or pure Bal, and there are contests. So like it's not the way to go, but most people and even me in some respects, like you got to be a little bit showy when you're doing a competition or performance.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that in a pure Bal contest?
Well, so running the California Balboa Classic, there's been a few pure Balboa contests before that, but we're one of the first ones that has it every year. And we try to make it very clear in the description that the contest is looking for the dancing in the nature of the original dance form, but being in a contest format is already contradicting that. Because originally, if you were doing something to try to get to be seen, then you were not considered doing Balboa. Like that's kind of what the old timers would say.
Exactly, and that's what I remember hearing.
Right.
For sure.
So, but that doesn't mean people didn't stop and watch you. It doesn't mean you weren't so good that people didn't. There's a difference between trying to do something to be seen and just being so good that people stop and watch you.
Yeah.
And so
that's a really good way to put it.
They cared about everything that I can tell. They cared about their style. They cared about how they looked. They cared about dancing well.
Because it's LA and Orange County, duh.
So true. So I think people get confused. They think that like if people are watching you, like as you're trying to get attention, and then if people are watching you just because you're so good, it's the same thing. And so I think people can dance in a contest, not vying for the attention, but still dancing so good that it naturally causes people to want to look at you. Yeah. And that's there. And you see it pretty consistently in the placements in that particular contest. And part of that is I do choose judges on purpose who are going to value original styles of Balboa. Yeah. Because I do want to honor that in that particular contest. And so, and Mikey.
I was just because we've talked about this, and you're very specific. I mean, every part of Cowbell is Laura Keat, like 100%, and I appreciate that so much, and that's why I back you 100%. But one of the best things you ever said to me was when we were doing a judges schedule, and she says, "Yeah, I have these judges, but also I want judges that like cool shit." Yeah, I'm like, okay. Interesting. I would never thought that, but that makes perfect sense. You want it to be a full gambit.
Right. For the Pure Balboa contest specifically, we have, and for the classic, we have 7 judges in the final rounds of both of those. That way we have a larger array of judges. Of course. But I try to have like 5 judges who, in the Pure Balboa contest, 5 judges who appreciate and get what Pure Balboa is, the spirit and the essence. And then 1, maybe 2 judges who might also be looking for a newer voice to speak out and to showcase something, because I want that honored as well. But that specific contest, again, in order to keep understanding what Pure Balboa is, we're looking for something specific. And then the classic, there's another contest for a push into new directions.
Yeah. So with that being said, we're going to kind of wrap this topic up right now with the last kind of question, last little note that we're going to do. And this is going to be however long you guys want, you and Laura and David, on this part. And it's basically, where would you like to see the Balboa community going, or go rather? And this is not a prediction. I think predictions are bullshit. But I think what point of views are and what opinions and what you would like to influence on the scene is more important, because we are listening to each other, and that's the reason for the podcast. So let's start with you, David. Well, where would you like to see the community go towards? Like, if it is a whole or just a few people, or even just in yourself, and what you would like to add out there?
So I can see two avenues of approaching. There's both where I want to see the community as a sense of organizing going, and then the dance as itself.
Perfect. Yeah.
So as like the community, we have maybe 15 events in the U.S. And a lot of them are very big events. That tends to be true even across the Lindy Hop, whereas in Europe there's maybe 50 with like a lot of smaller 60-person size events. And so I've seen a lot more push in different cities, specifically just with people in Boston, in Chicago, in Huntsville. We're trying to push in DC, just really building the community and addressing it from the side of classes, plus like house parties and events, and hitting and practice groups, and just hitting those sources of community and inspiration to bring people together and have that sense of friendship. Right? If you came up in the late 90s, early 2000s, there were so many that came in that like you were able to persist and make close friendships because you lasted so long. Whereas now, when you come in, there aren't as many at any given time, and you enter into this stratified culture. Like, so it's harder like to come up with a bunch of other friends. So like having those community, building more of the community, and events that kind of take away that the dance side kind of brings people more together, so that there's more people can experience the dance as both the community side, but then also just experiencing it as fun and not this intimidating thing. As Laura mentioned earlier, like it can be intimidating to learn this close position dance. So the ways that you can make the community in the dance experience it for the reasons I love it from day one. So we've been trying some things there.
That's good.
So that's kind of where I would want to see it more, so that we're seeing a lot more variety of people that are in it. Like I would like to see like a lot more, early 20s people dancing Bal. There's a fair number, but there's just a wider variety and just numbers, so that you get more variety of personalities and how they want to express themselves in the dance. So as they learn, different things are going to come out of them as they create. So just having that different demographic or a wider group that comes out will end up changing the dance some.
Yeah.
That's like the one side.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. What was the other side of it? The dance part of itself. So then there's
like as the dance itself, and I sort of see, like I'd like to see it personally. What I share is like more of the jitterbug side, but I like to see that wider variety of movements, and not necessarily always to bring that jitterbug energy, but to have those different ways of expressing yourself, whether it's more graceful, but through different types of movements, and not just Laura mentioned earlier, not just in lollies and basics and out and ins, but to see that wider variety of the figures of the dance as they come together, so that you can experience a greater feeling of creativity and how you can make the dance your own.
Kind of broaden your spectrum a little bit more, but trying to still stay true to something.
Yeah, I think we're on the verge of seeing a lot of those changes, especially with events like Cowbell, or the swing contest there. I've seen Shag in the finals there, and lots of other wider variety of what is swing, what is LA swing.
Right.
And as people that contests have some impact on on what they see and what they are inspired by. And as they see those types of contests and things done in those contests, people want to do them more socially.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, follow by example. I mean, that's how we all just talked about it. Like basically like sort of breaking down clips or breaking out the best parts that we liked about it, whether it was something about a movement or something about a move or something about the feeling or just the era of being around. It's kind of like we can do the same thing nowadays as opposed to just like look at it for like, oh, it's a contest and it's, oh, that's cool, I guess. But like we can actually gather the feelings out of it too.
For
Well,
sure.
What do you think? What do you think we want the community to go to?
That was good. I liked everything David said.
It was very thorough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I would like to see a little bit more playfulness in the dancing, and I'd love to see a little bit more of the spirit of original LA swing, which is more playful, more energetic, a little bit more different movements in there. I'd love to see people comfortable with mixing in different styles of dancing in there when they're doing their swing or bow swing type stuff. I do want to, I love the aesthetic that's in like original style of swing or bow swing. So I don't want to see that lost per se. And I think some people are like, oh, I should start to stick in Lindy or Charleston movements. And that's cool if you stick it in, but I want to see people progress what was originally there and make it bigger, not just change it into something different.
Right.
Which is, it's an interesting balance.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah, but I think I'd like to see that more youthful energy, the jitterbug spirit that David mentioned, the more playfulness, and I think that will attract a younger demographic, like David said, which would be good for the scene. Although I do love that Balboa offers a place for some of the older swing dancers to be able to settle in and feel comfortable and fit in, not just because the dance is comfortable for them, but because the community is welcoming to them. Because I like that people can still, I want to be dancing when I'm 80. And I think sometimes the Lindy Hop community can be a little bit closed to some of the people from different demographics and
it's true. I mean,
age groups.
it's already so big that it can't help but do it sometimes.
Yeah,
Well,
I
it's
love that you
athletic.
run the silver contest at
Yeah, we had the
Cal
silver
Val.
contest at Cal Val for a few years to try to create a space for people of older age, just to show that they were welcome and that we were creating space for them. But I also want to see younger people in there too.
Totally. Awesome. So we're going to move on to the question of the day. And it's from Leanne Tarhay. Hey, boo, how you doing out there?
Hey.
She says, is there ever too much rotation for Balboa? And I just want to say, nah, girl, more is more. You do you, boo.
You do you, man. You do you. Laura, what do you think? Because I mean, like that is a very specific kind of follower.
It's so
thing.
Balboa.
And so Balboa. Like,
That's so Balboa.
definitely- I mean, we just put out the thing out. Like I forgot to do it yesterday, and I did it like an hour before we got started, and that's the first one we got. So I was like, "Good, you're in."
You're in. Of course, there can be too much of anything. If your partner is getting dizzy and giving you body language, you've probably rotated too much, or at least too much in one direction.
If your partner is vomiting on you, that might be a good sign to know.
Look, bro,
Abort.
something might be wrong. You might have to reassess the situation.
What's the situation going on over here?
Oh, she throwing up?
Oh, is your girl throwing up? Oh, damn.
Has that ever happened to you, Laura?
I've never thrown up on the dance floor.
I mean, not throwing up on the dance floor. Wait. Okay, no, never mind. That was my
You don't
cousin.
have any
That was my cousin.
memories,
No.
Have you ever seen anybody throw up on the dance floor?
Oh, now we're just taking this question.
Yes.
My
But that won't, you?
My cousin.
Oh, I haven't seen your cousin throw up, but I did see another pro throw up on the dance floor.
Oh yeah, me too. That's right. But I mean, no.
But it wasn't from too much torque.
I'm pretty sure it was not too much rotation. Although maybe his head was spinning.
Yeah. But no, what I want to say is, have you ever felt that like maybe you've been rotating way too long, or like rotating the hips, or rotating turns?
Yeah, no. Sometimes if it's a fast song, guys will try to do too many swivels. It's too much rotation on your hips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or too many spins and turns can happen, or just in general because the dance tends to rotate one direction.
Yeah,
and so too much rotation just in that clockwise motion, the way you do come arounds and things like that. So it's important to
Heard of that as
mix it
the
up.
cyclone of death.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, the Balboa cyclone.
But has that ever happened to you and you had to say something? And if you have, no?
I've never had to say anything.
No.
But
Like-
I can definitely make my body just a little bit less easy to turn if I'm feeling dizzy. And so I won't stiffen up per se, but I make it a little less easy. And sometimes that influences my leader to not turn me as much.
Would you give any advice to any follow out there if they're feeling maybe not as controlled as you are when you're able to control that? Be like, okay, I can calm this down. Would you give any advice to anybody to say something out loud to their partner if they are feeling like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I statements are a little cliche, but so valuable. Just to be like, hey, I'm feeling a little dizzy tonight. Maybe could we do a little less spins and just take it upon yourself. If you don't want to make them feel like they're being bad, then just say, I'm feeling a little dizzy tonight, or I have a headache tonight, or something like that.
I was at an event and a friend of mine wore a sign that said no spins.
That would work too.
Holy shit! That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I love when people take it upon themselves to be like, this is how I feel, or this is how, like, here's my rules for dancing type of thing. I'm just saying if you agree with that or not.
Yeah, no, I mean, we should be able to talk to each other and say what we need without being offended or taking it personally.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Dave, what do you think about the question? Is there too much rotation?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like the problems that we were talking about, how when you're close, things get
Messy?
exponentially bigger. Like, it's always hard to dance with your feet underneath you.
Sure.
But when you rotate around in a circle and you step around, like, you get this whip of feel when you do come arounds that are the come arounds that really come around. So
yeah, seriously,
that's a lot of rotation. But then in some ways, there's people don't rotate enough. Like in lollies, they might stop themselves short, especially like we learn to kick and then tap.
Yeah.
When you watch the original dancers, like, a lot of times they step through the entire time.
Yeah.
Because they're twisting so much.
Yeah.
Or they're kicking through, and you don't see that level of twisting happening as much on the floor.
Totally.
Rachel, do you ever feel like that? Do you ever feel like you've been rotated like too much? I mean, like in Balboa or not, whatever.
I mean, like, I do so little Balboa, but yeah, in Lindy Hop, I totally feel that people trying to manipulate my body to go a certain way, and it's just like, it's too much. It's so overwhelming. Yeah. And being a smaller person, it's really easy for people to, overpower me. Yeah. And so I have to really try to stay strong to be like, actually, no, I'm not going to rotate that far. Yeah. Unless you want my arm to fall off. Well, which is cool, like, whatever.
I mean, I guess so. But like, coming from maybe this perspective of a leader, every time someone has told me something that, hey, maybe, like you were saying, Laura, like, hey, maybe we can do a little bit less of this, or maybe we can do this in a different way. It's I can't help but take it as like oh, I did something wrong, like, and I've come accustomed to it. And again, it's maybe my older age, but like the thing of me being like, okay, I'm slightly offended, but wait a minute, there's something to be learned here. Yeah. And I take that moment to be like, okay, breathe about this. Let's learn something about this. And every time it leads to something really much better, or a new way to do the same old things that I've done, or accelerate my dancing. So. Well,
and I have to say, anytime I have had to talk to a leader while I'm dancing with them about something that's uncomfortable, it's happened occasionally. And anytime I've had to do that, I usually try to either ask them for a second dance right there or find them again later to make sure they know, like, I still like them. I still want to dance with them.
But also give them a chance to like try it again.
Give them a chance to try it again.
I mean, from an intellectual way, like, it's like, okay, if we all have a learning community here in our swing dance world.
And I make a point to smile and show that I'm enjoying them, so that it's not something that they just walk away and just beat themselves up.
Sorry, Rhodey. I know we have one more thing. I know we're talking lots of boring shit. Okay.
Well, let's wrap it up then.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Laura,
let's start with you, Mikey. What's your bright side?
My bright side? Oh, okay. My bright side, I think, is talking about this. I get real nostalgic, especially with Balboa, because I've said it many times that Balboa is actually my hometown dance, as literally, like, right. And I didn't know that for so long, and then when I realized it made me get back into the dance, because I grew up learning Lindy Hop, Balboa, and Shag. And then Shag, I still have mixed feelings about. Balboa, I love, and Lindy Hop, I love so much. And what I want to see, my bright side of it is remembering when those nights I would dance at Memories. Yeah. With my giant pants, with pants up my tits, right here, and dancing with somebody that I didn't have to say and not saying that I have to do this today or anything, but like dancing with someone and just saying we want to dance, sure, and we would dance Lindy Hop, Balboa, and Shag all in the same song,
Right.
And that was like something that was very special to me. I don't feel like it's missing here because like we have these genres and that's totally fine. But I feel like, hey guys, if you feel super inclined, like the Balboa room this weekend, aptly named, but that doesn't mean you have to just stick to that. That just means that there's people there that know Balboa and they're at Lindy Focus, so most likely they know Lindy Hop.
Totally.
Try mixing it. That's my bright side.
My bright side. I love that you probably have a little bit more of a Lindy crowd, and you're talking about Balboa for an entire discussion. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think like we talked about a lot of things that I really wanted to talk about. So it was really, really, really good.
Yeah.
David?
Yeah, I want to highlight some of the things, just being able to open up, with a thoughtful discussion about what is the current Bal community and where it's going, and to put some different ideas out there, and hopefully for the people listening, that they helps them to think for themselves what they want to do, and to take that dancing to themselves, and be the change they want to see.
Exactly.
Dance they want to dance what they want to dance, and there's a time to learn to learn the dance, and then there's a time to just get on the floor and
just
move.
fucking do it.
Yeah,
just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Rachel, what do you think?
Well, I've got two bright sides today. The first is the image of you wearing pants that literally go up to your tits, because what a sight that would have been at a spry 14 years old.
Oh my
and
God.
the second one is something that you said, Laura, which is that when you were learning Balboa, you had to realize that your personality as a Lindy Hopper can't apply to being a Balboa dancer, because I think that's something that has happened to me and that has deterred me from Balboa, is that I don't feel like I can express myself aptly as a Balboa dancer, but it's because I keep trying to put my Lindy Hop personality into it instead of like trying to start fresh and discovering myself again as a Balboa dancer. So I'm going to try that at Cowbell this year.
Yay!
When I'm there.
That was my secret agenda, is try to give Rachel a Balboa dancer. Make her come.
This time next year, I won't even be doing Lindy Hop. Balboa only.
So Laura's got to go.
kidding.
Thank you so much, Laura.
Thanks,
Thank you
Laura.
so much, David.
Thanks, David.
And this has been so
You guys
awesome.
rock.
You guys can catch us on Facebook, of course, the Brightside, and SoundCloud and iTunes. If you want to talk to David or Laura, they're always on Facebook. Pretty much, just like the rest of the world. So, if I can, feel free to contact you guys for other questions on Balboa or swing dancing.
Yeah.
Okay. Laura is out the door with Rhodey.
She's out the door.
Thank you so
There she
much.
goes.
David, thank you so much.
Bye, you guys. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.